Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George, or all George. So, is the Bitcoin dream over? What's going on with Silvergate? Is it significant? Do we need to worry? Let's talk about these things today. Let's talk about what's happening in the industry. Something big has just spurred up that's a recent development. So let's talk about that. And also let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin and some cryptos. So let's get started. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well this morning. Let's take a look. You know, Bitcoin has not been moving since this whole Silvergate situation, right? Bitcoin fell down pretty dramatically. And right now it's just completely flat. No movement whatsoever. Although the alts are getting a little bit weaker. People are getting panicked over what may happen, right? Is this going to be a big deal? Is the contagion going to spread from what's happening with Silvergate, right? And some people argue that we would be testing 25K again, if not even, maybe even higher than that, had Silvergate saga not started. But of course, this is part of contagion as spread from MTX. But is Silvergate itself, are they so big that will spread more contagion to others, right? Now, why do people think this? Well, it was just announced that Silvergate is going to close their SEN platform, okay? So besides just being a bank, a crypto-friendly bank, a bank that invests and lends out money to crypto projects and exchanges, but what people don't realize is there are so many out there that actually depend on Silvergate for money transfers, okay? That's a huge component to Silvergate and one of the reasons why they were so profitable before. But after this fallout, you can see over here, Coinbase, Paxos, Galaxy Digital, Gemini, Bitstamp, Crypto.com, and Circle each issued statements that were going to cut ties, okay? And I think there's a lot more to that. There's a lot more to that. But before I get into that, well, what is Silvergate? A little history from Wikipedia and what this SEN network is. Basically, in 2013, CEO Alan Lane, he personally invested in Bitcoin and decided to change Silvergate from a real estate company to a crypto company. All right, that was actually a pretty smart move if you think about it. 2013, he got in Bitcoin probably, you know, when it was in the hundreds, maybe even under that, right? And they've been doing very, very well since then. Now, they came out with the SEN network, which is a Silvergate exchange network, which enables cryptocurrency exchanges, institutions, customers to exchange fiat currencies such as US dollars and euros. Silvergate is thought to be the very first regulated bank to develop this sort of payment system. By the third quarter of 2022, it had 12 billion deposits from 1,677 Silvergate exchange SEN customers, including all major cryptocurrency exchanges and over 1,000 institutional investors. So that's the important thing. There is 1,600 customers using this SEN. So when I said Coinbase, Paxos, Galaxy Digital, Gemini, Bitstamp, Crypto.com, Circle, that's what, 6, 7 out of the 1,700 that depend on the SEN network to exchange fiat currencies or to onboard. It's like a fiat on-ramp and off-ramp for these crypto projects and exchanges, right? That's a crazy amount. And this network is shutting down. And they tried to come out with their own stable coin, and they couldn't, so they bought Meta's DEM technology for $200 million, and that has been scrapped, right? So Silvergate is looking pretty bleak right now. But even though these major exchanges said, yeah, we're severing ties, it's easier said than done because they're so dependent on Silvergate for this fiat on-ramp, off-ramp. In fact, I just saw this. Bybit, which is one of the biggest derivative exchanges out there, just released this not too long ago this morning. We will be suspending USD payments via bank transfer. You could guess why. It's probably because they also use Silvergate, right? So I think I think Silvergate is huge. It's very far reaching, right? So we don't really want to see Silvergate go under. We don't want to see that happen, right? But it could very well, because their stock is in a free fall right now. The only thing that could save them are these big boys like BlackRock and Soros, who have invested in Silvergate and put in even more money. So they probably don't want to lose their money. So they'll probably inject them with more money at this point, right? But when you have a bank run on a bank and there's no more depositors, there's no more money coming in, it's hard to survive, right? So that's how big Silvergate is. Even though a lot of you guys may not care, it's like, oh, there's just a bank. Who cares? Let this bank fall. Well, there's a lot of projects, a lot of exchanges that utilize them. And you know what else? With this whole thing, because they are a traditional bank, right? Does that mean like Gary Gensler is going to go after all these banks that do any business with crypto projects? Because now he has ammunition, if you think about it, right? Now, he's been on attack. Everything from staking to just, staking to blocking Voyager to everything else. Stable coins, right? Is he going to be attacking banks soon that does business with crypto, right? Hopefully not, but I could see how he uses this as an example and start going after every single bank out there. And that would be absolutely horrible. That would be very, very, very horrible, right? Yeah, so I guess we will have to see this week. Are they going to announce anything different? Are we going to see a major cash injection from BlackRock and others, right? And let's pay attention to what these exchanges are saying. Are they all going to start stopping suspension of USD payments via bank transfers, right? There's other ways to onboard USD, but this has something to do with what's going on with Silvergate, right? So we will see. But going back to Bitcoin, right? This is kind of the reason why Bitcoin was created. Bitcoin was created because of distrust of banks. Even though Silvergate is a crypto-friendly bank, it is a bank nevertheless. Bitcoin was created because of distrust in banks, distrust in central banks, distrust in governments, right? So Bitcoin will survive. Bitcoin will move past this, especially with all the shenanigans that the central banks out there are doing. And any really centralized finance company, right? But the biggest Ponzi of them all is the U.S. government. The U.S. government continues to print more money, remove its own ceiling for how much debt it could have, and it's a vicious cycle that keeps on going, and that is why we have hyperinflation, right? Even though inflation has been coming down, and I've been saying, yes, it's looking better, but still, you look at the current inflation rate, it's 3 times higher than Bitcoin's inflation rate, and after this next halving event in 2024, it will be 6 times higher, and it'll keep going, right? Bitcoin is scarce. Its inflation rate is set by code, by schedule, not by the Fed saying we need to jack up the Fed fund rate, right? They could do so at any given time. They could apply quantitative easing and tightening at any time, right? According to what Powell wants to do. Think about it, it's one man that has all the control, and no one really has anything that they can do to go against it. The other governors can give their opinions and stuff, but ultimately he's the one that's making the decisions, right? But with Bitcoin, you don't have that one man. Even if Satoshi came back and said, I want to increase the supply of Bitcoin, I want to increase the inflation rate, he can't do it. Not even he could do it. Bitcoin is governed by code, which is governed by the miners, which are governed by the people, right? So, very different. That is why Bitcoin will win in the long run. Bitcoin is winning already, but will continue to win and eventually take over, if you think about it. So there's a lot of good things. As for this Bitcoin dream due to Silvergate, I think we could see a temporary setback if it gets worse, right? Especially with Gary Gensler maybe coming after banks or Silvergate going under and a lot of crypto exchanges having problems, right? Temporarily, maybe short term, there could be problems. But long term, we know Bitcoin is going to thrive and continue forward. And this Bitcoin dream that we all have is not over by any means. It's only getting started. So besides the supply and inflation rate decreasing and the US dollar increasing and fiat currencies around the world increasing by leaps and bounds, that's not all. That's not all. We still have a lot of pioneers like Jack Dorsey that's trying to improve Bitcoin. In fact, he just launched something called C equals. I don't know why C equals. Why not B equals or why not L equals? Because this has to do with Bitcoin Lightning Network. Basically, it's a company to help other companies get involved with payments with Bitcoin and, more importantly, with the Lightning Network, right? So again, I don't know why it's called C equals. I'm sure there's an explanation, but why not B equals or L equals, you know? But anyways, my point is this. There's still a lot of pioneers in the space that's trying to evolve Bitcoin and grow it even larger than it is, besides just a halving event. I mean, we got to give it real utility, right? And Lightning Network is definitely giving it real utility, making Bitcoin a medium of exchange, one that's very efficient, very fast, very feeless, and one that can benefit merchants by saving them a whole lot of money and getting them off the old payment rails, right? So that is still very, very good. Of course, we do have new innovation hitting the Bitcoin market already. You have the NFT, the new ordinals that is starting to bloom. And according to some, it could reach 4.5 billion by 2025. If you think about it, you think about collectibles. What makes collectibles valuable? Scarcity. Usually the first editions are the most valuable. Look at how much crypto punks are going for. Even with the downturn, they're still worth how many ETH? 100 ETH? 1,000 ETH? Whatever I don't even know what the floor price is. But if you think about it, the very first Bitcoin NFTs, these will be probably worth infinite in the future, right? If you think about it. But still, this shows you how early things are for very first NFTs being released on Bitcoin. But it just shows Bitcoin is evolving. We have projects like Stacks that's also helping Bitcoin evolve, right? There's a lot of stuff. That's just a lot of stuff happening. And it's just so early, so early. And that is why Bitcoin right now, compared to all these other financial legacy companies, is growing faster than all of them. Okay, a lot of these companies and banks took 100 years, 200 years to get to where they are. Bitcoin, only 12 years. Imagine the next 100 years for Bitcoin. How high Bitcoin will be then, okay? Imagine if everything I've been saying, the inflation rate being cut in half until it's basically nothing. Innovation still happens. You get all the businesses now accepting Bitcoin, and you have new innovations like dApps and NFTs and DeFi and everything else and all these bridges and everything that is thriving on Bitcoin. And on top of that, you have all the holders accumulating, DCAing. I mean, I can't even imagine what's going to happen to Bitcoin in the next 100 years. Okay, I don't think anyone could picture it. But it is, in my opinion, the only crypto that I could see that will survive 100 years. Can Ethereum or Cardano or Avalanche survive 100 years? I'm not so sure, but I do know this. If I had to pick one, it would definitely be Bitcoin, for sure. The hash rate also continues to go up and higher and higher and higher. The miners are also not giving in at all. And that's why the hash rate continues to skyrocket, even in 2022 when Bitcoin is falling. That was a horrible year, but you can see the hash rate in 2022 more than doubled. So miners are not going away anytime soon. And again, there are a lot of charts that do show that what we're going through is completely normal, regardless of Silvergate and its FUD, right? We have seen many times where Bitcoin has done something similar, whether it's whale manipulation or some kind of exchange worry or failure or FUD due to regulations and Gary, whatever it may be. Bitcoin has seen a lot of it and continues forward. And right now we're still looking like we're following 2019's recovery from bottom. And next up will be glorious. Glorious. And here's another one. This actually measures all these on-chain metrics. MVRV, POL, ASOPR, reserve risk. You put them all together. What is it showing? We are coming up from bottom. Oversold levels. We're coming up from bottom. And that means great things are about to happen. So, all good things coming up. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Couple of alt news. I know you guys love this coin. You guys know that Shibarium and Shib is coming up. So right now, there are a lot of accumulation of Shib. I know that a lot of you guys still think that Shib is a joke. And why should I be worried about Shib? You know, well, Shibarium is coming. They're layer 2, hyped up for a long time. And there are definitely a lot of whales accumulating millions and millions and millions of Shib right now, right? And Shibarium, which is a layer 2 for Ethereum, okay, if you think about it, all the hype right now about layer 2s and how to scale Ethereum, right? This will be a legitimate layer 2. There's a few out there, right? But Shib, seeing how it has such a big following, I do think that this will be successful. This will be successful. In fact, they already, oops, where's that site? Here we go. They already released this, right? Which actually is trying to draw people in, because actually, I don't think they need to draw anyone in, because they have thousands of apps trying to come on board. But they released this so dApp makers can apply. And when Shibarium comes out, it could be a huge success of like hundreds of dApps running on top of it, right? So it is coming. It is coming, and you know what? It could be a huge success. They've been they've been teasing it for quite some time though, but they say it's imminent. So is it this week? Is it the end of the month? Whatever it may be, right? But there's a lot of enthusiasm over it, and with its other token Bone, which will be the gas backbone to Shibarium, and of course there's still a lot of burning that's happening, right? A lot of stuff happening in the Shib community. So I'm glad to see them push beyond just meme coin status into a full-fledged L1, L2 status. And it'll be exciting to see what they do. And besides Shib, Chainlink, some news. It is now live on Base, Coinbase's own layer 2. Layer 2s are getting hot. This is based on optimism, right? A big boost. I think it's bigger boost to optimism than it is to Coinbase. Coinbase wants to be a fiat on-ramp, off-ramp. But hopefully they have another banking partner outside of Silvergate, because they were used Silvergate before. But their price feeds is live on Base. I don't know. I haven't heard much about Base. But, you know, if they can continue to draw in dApp makers, right, it could be successful. But I don't think that's the end game for Coinbase. I think they just want to be a fiat on-ramp, off-ramp, and collect those fees. But who knows? Chainlink is absolutely huge. You want to be integrated with every chain possible, right? And they not only connect Web3 companies, but also Web2 companies like AWS and Meta and Google and Microsoft and any other legacy project out there. They could all utilize Chainlink, and grab data from Web 3.0 projects, crypto projects, and vice versa. And crypto projects can grab data from them as well. So Chainlink is a giant Oracle network that basically grabs data from dApps, from chains, from legacy projects, from companies. It could do it all. It could do it all. So Chainlink is so important in this space and is often overlooked for how useful and how important it is, because also every single DeFi project out there depends on Chainlink. If Chainlink was not around, most DeFi projects would have failed already. That's how important they are. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right, that is pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see. Shahid says, thank God, more DCA. Positive attitude. Will Silvergate go bankrupt? No idea. No idea. Hopefully not, but it's looking bleak for them. They don't even know. Even the CEO says we don't know if we could pull through. We'll see. We'll see. Thoughts on what Trump said about Congress needing to probe the SEC because Gensler presented Truth Social from going public. Do you think they'll investigate the SEC? Not because of that. I just have to laugh at that statement. The SEC needs to be investigated because of Gary's agenda. He does definitely have agenda, and he's trying to play catch up. But yeah. As for Truth Social from going public, not for that reason. Music by, appreciate it. Ada, Matic, Solana. Jeremy, I just talked about it. What about Bone token? I just talked about Bone. When Shibarium goes live, Bone is the gas token for it. So people that want to operate their dApps on Shibarium, they're going to have to use Bone. Can I cover the WSJ article on Tether? I mean, there's not much to cover. They said that Tether presented false statements to create bank accounts. I can't tell if that's real or not. I would say this. They had problems getting banks to hold their crypto because no bank wanted to touch Tether. So I could see how they falsified documents, but don't know if that's true or not. And that's really in the past because the New York Attorney General already sued Tether, looked at everything, and they concluded that everything is good. So I'm thinking that whatever past problems or shenanigans that Tether did has been resolved now. Who knows? I don't know if that's the case for sure. But I've always said I don't trust Tether. Tether, Bitfinex, iFinex, they had some very shady past. All of them. George, do you think algo will pull out of the bear market, or should I trade to ETH? I can't tell you what to do. Almost every single project you have heard of will pull out of the bear market. They will all thrive in the bull market, but it's a matter of picking the fastest horse in the race, right? And you don't know which ones will be the fastest horse. You could make good guesses. The ones that are the biggest, the ones that have the best team, the ones that market the best, the ones that have the best roadmap, right? So it's not about whether it will come out of the bear market. It's a matter of, is something else going to move faster in the bull market? How much weight do I put into the GitHub activity? Very little. Very little. A lot of people commit everything to GitHub as soon as there's a small change. Some, they compile it on their computers first before uploading the finished version. So it just depends on how they do things. Some projects, purposely write a lot of commits to make it seem like, oh, we're working very hard, right? But I think it misleads people. So I put very little faith in that. What is your suggestion to actually save personal savings into USDC, trying to fight against inflation? How do I fight this? I don't know which country you're from, but if you want to buy fiat and you cannot, or buy USD fiat and you cannot, then USDC is a good alternative. It's not exactly the same. USDC is pegged at $1, but it is controlled by a company rather than the Fed. So understand they are different. But if you are in a country where you're suffering from hyperinflation and you cannot buy any USD through your bank, well, then I'd say that's a pretty good option. Do you keep holding regardless of bad news? Yes. Yes, I have done so for many, many, many years. The times that I did not do so and I panic sold are the times that cost me the most, because I ended up having to buy back and I got less of what I had before. That's what I've learned. Holding works, holding wins, and it took me many years to learn that. Do you think Tether has the reserves they claim? Not really. They're not back one-to-one in cash. They said they were, but it turns out a lot of it is junk bonds and other equivalencies. But they have been audited a lot. That's the thing. They have been audited, but like the companies they choose are kind of shady. But they have been attacked by regulators, and they have survived every single one. So it makes me quite amazed that they are able to. But I still wouldn't trust them. Unfortunately, BUSD is kind of out of the picture. So now the only true stablecoin that is somewhat trustworthy is USDC, because they are based in the US, controlled by Circle and Coinbase. So that's really the only option. USDT, if you had no choice, you had to use it, okay, but I would much rather hold USDC than USDT. Have I ever tried leverage? Yeah, I do it. I have tried large amounts before, lost a ton. Recent times doing small amounts if I'm really bored. It's like playing roulette. I'm betting, right? Sometimes I win, but more often than not, I lose. You know, leverage is just one of those things. It's like, you know, if you win a couple times, it makes you feel like you're just like trading genius. Like, oh my God, you know, I just won so much. I'm so smart. And then it makes you continue and then take risks. And then just one downfall, one bad play can liquidate you and take you of all the gains that you had, and even more so because of what you put in. So that's the thing with leverage. Over time, the house wins, and the house is the exchanges. The exchanges that offer leverage, they're going to win no matter what. They collect the fees. Whether you win or lose, the house wins. The exchanges. Is it true that regulation will destroy 99% of crypto? Only time will tell. I say no, because even if the US and Gary comes down hard on crypto, crypto is not limited to the US. In fact, most companies are not in the US. So no, it will not destroy 99% of crypto. Old Saucy, what happens when the banks do a bail-in? Will they seize all the USDC and not honor them? I don't know what you mean by that. Let's say if USDC, let's say Circle went belly up, yeah, they could not honor USDC redemptions. Is that what you mean? That could certainly happen. Do I think FTX do retail? No, they won't. I don't think any retail clawbacks is going to be happening. People keep talking about it. It's not going to happen. It's not. It's not legal. People could be talking about it, but it's not legal at all. And just think about all the companies outside of crypto that have gone bankrupt. How is it that none of them have ever talked about clawbacks? Because it's totally ridiculous. It's 100% ridiculous. It's unlawful, and I don't even know why people are talking about it, because there's no way to enforce that. If you have Lehman Brothers that closed down shop and you withdrew a day before because you were worried about it, and now you have to give your money back to Lehman, that makes 0 sense. Zero. So it's the same thing with crypto companies, with FTX, with Celsius, with anyone. It makes 0 sense. And I don't think any of it will happen. Have I dabbed into any new coins in 23? Very little. Some. A little bit more into L2s. I have one new one that I'm in, but I don't want to talk too much about that because it's just speculation at this point, and a little bit too early to be talking about it. But yeah, a few other ones. Not much though. Am I going to cover VeChain's Hive Summit, a new white paper? Probably the white paper, not the Hive Summit. I'm not going to be in Vegas for that. Have you driven a new 911 Turbo S? Was able to drive one. It's the fastest car to be in and driven. No. It looks amazing. I love to get a new 911, either a GT3 or a turbo. But dealerships are charging $100,000 to $200,000 more, especially on GT3s. It's just insane. But I'd love to get one, or at the very least, at least test drive one. I might go do one of those exotic car experiences where you get to drive all these exotic cars. I might just sign up to do one of those things just so I have some experience behind some of these other cars. Let's speculate. Some of us know how to manage our risk. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Well, I'll give you guys one clue. You guys know what big thing I'm involved with, right? So that's your clue. George, when you first got into crypto, what coins gave you the biggest gains to start on the road to financial freedom? It's obvious. Just go with Bitcoin. Evan, you can't ever go wrong with Bitcoin. The biggest mistake people have is Bitcoin is too big and you can't make enough money from it, so I have to speculate with everything else. That's the biggest misconception because there's still so much coming for Bitcoin. For everything else, you know, sometimes you get lucky, you get in something new, and then they go up. Other times they don't go up or they go belly up, right? It takes time to learn them. And I can't tell you what I've made the most gains with or didn't make the most gains with. I got in when a lot of things were very cheap. I remember when I first got in, 2013, 2014, when it's falling down, you know, Bitcoin was sub 1,000. It was like, you know, 100 something, right? Litecoin, I was mining Litecoin. It was like $4. Later on in 2017, I saw the rise of BNB. I talked about BNB. It was a few dollars and it shot up to the moon. Same thing. I saw Tron when it was sub $1 billion and then it blew up. I mean, there's so many. Sometimes just out of nowhere. Sometimes you could just see it, right? Same thing with Cardano. I never got into Cardano because I never trusted that they were going to finish. And I saw them plenty of times. There was plenty of years where they were 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents. Never took advantage, but the UK version of SEC is no better. Can't stake on Binance here anymore. The obviously idea after Gary. I mean, I think a lot of security commissions around the world is just looking at Gary, okay? And that's the unfortunate thing because what Gary is doing is not legal. He's just doing it. He thinks it's within his jurisdiction, so he's just doing it, and no one's pushing back, right? But that doesn't make it right or correct or even legal, right? We just need more pushback. And he's doing so during a bad time when things are weak, when Congress is distracted, and he's targeting small projects that can't defend themselves. Juan, I already gave you a clue. I gave you a clue. Think about, I'm very excited to be part of something, right? That's coming up. I've been talking about it. I'm very excited about it, right? Think about what I've been talking about, and then it'll lead you to what you're seeking. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, Silvergate, Not good. Contagion could spread very far. And that's because their SEN platform is used by close to 1,700 clients. 1,700. Think about that, right? But this is why Bitcoin was created. There's trust in banks, central banks, governments, individuals that have too much power. Bitcoin does not. So that's why Bitcoin was created. It will get past this. It will get through it. So stay strong, my friends. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.